I've told you I'm going to stick with the word reform as we talk about alternatives to Obamacare. Told you about the group reform the last time. This time I want to talk about a phrase that many of you may have already heard of. It's called tort reform. I'm not sure what tort means, but it deals with lawsuits, deals with lawyers. In all the thousands and thousands of pages of the law that we call the Affordable Health Care Act, that we lovingly refer to as Obamacare, as far as I know, there's not a page, not a paragraph that deals with tort reform, meaning this: if you're going to reduce the costs of health care, you have to include some bit of limits upon these lawsuits that have gotten out of hand. I mean, you've heard the phrase frivolous lawsuits. I mean, that is minor league compared to really what is going on. Now, let me say this. As an American citizen, I really appreciate the right that if a surgery is performed on me by a doctor, and let's say she sews up my chest and leaves her scalpel in there. Hey, that's a mistake. It's an accident, whatever it was. And I certainly have the right to hire an attorney and sue because it's going to take extra procedures, going to be expenses, more time off work, whatever. But no matter what the accident is, the lawyer that's trying that case should not become a millionaire off of it. That's the point. And also, me as a citizen or you, we don't need to be looking at medical accidents or even whatever happens as we just won the lottery. Lawsuits should not be lottery. Actually, lawsuits should lead to getting some doctors out of the business. If they're incapable of providing better health care and they keep messing up, they shouldn't have a license to begin with. But regardless, no one should be getting rich off the lawsuits. That's the point. And who can deny? I mean, Democrats, they're never going to touch the lawyers. And they'll always say, oh, it's not that much in the overall cost of health care. I don't even know what it is, but I tell you this. You can't deny that when insurance companies and lawyers are having to pay millions upon millions of dollars out in these malpractice suits, and doctors themselves, many of them are paying over $100,000 a year in malpractice insurance. Are you telling me that's not going to raise the cost of health care? Are you nuts? Of course it is. And don't forget the indirect stuff. Doctors are going to be doing procedures maybe they don't need to do because they're scared to death of not doing it. I mean, the list would be endless of what these lawsuits have now set these doctors up for and the added costs that we're all paying. So someone needs to come up with a very clear law limiting how much you can win in these things that does a better job at taking care of lawsuits that are just meant to, just throw it into the wind and see if we can get something out of this. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that can be done. And so tort reform is another of many alternatives to this thing we call Obamacare that Obama promises will reduce health care costs. Yeah, right. Well, there are some things that can be done. More coming.